Good evening, I'm Faye Kwan. Our top stories for tonight: US hikes tariff on steel, aluminium for over 400 products, and Washington eyes stakes in chipmakers to boost production. All this and more coming up on AWANI International. The US Commerce Department is raising steel and aluminium tariffs on more than 400 products, affecting over $200 billion in imports. The measures take effect immediately and cover a wide range of goods, from EV components and auto parts to wind turbines, heavy machinery, rail cars, furniture and household appliances. The department said 407 categories have been added to the list of derivative steel and aluminium products. Each will face a 50% tariff on steel and aluminium content, plus the standard rate for other materials. The list also includes components for buses, air conditioners, refrigerators, freezers and dryers, as well as imported parts for automotive exhaust systems and electrical steel for EVs, despite objections from automakers, including Tesla. Meanwhile, the US government is exploring taking ownership stakes in major semiconductor companies in exchange for Federal CHIPS Act grants. The White House confirms that the Commerce Department is working on a potential 10% stake in Intel. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said the government would seek non-voting shares, giving Washington a financial stake without direct control. The move aims to keep critical industries like chip manufacturing from relying on foreign suppliers. Reuters reported similar arrangements could extend to other companies, including TSMC, Micron and Samsung. The CHIPS Act, signed into law under the Joe Biden administration, provides billions in funding to boost US chip production, create tech jobs, and protect supply chains for everything from smartphones to cars. We'll be back with more after the break. Stay tuned.
Dok Aman dah nak makbul. Abang nak keluar dari sini kan?
Saya cari bilik sewa. Ni rumah saya.
Jangan sentuh anak aku! Jangan dia pergi mana?
Ada nampak tak dua orang budak ni? Ni, saya cari dua orang budak ni.
Tak ada sini lah.
Awak mau ambil jadi anak ya, tapi awak kena masuk Islam. Ha? Uncle Mike.
Ini pertama kali saya raya tak ada adik-adik. Tuhan tak bagi apa yang kita nak. Dia bagi apa yang kita perlu. Uncle Mike buat saya percaya yang ada lagi orang baik dekat dunia ni.
Sorakan semakin gamang, perlawanan besar sudah tiba. Tottenham Hotspur bersedia untuk menggegarkan Stadium Etihad. The Red Devils perlu menang untuk meraih kepercayaan. Setiap detik, setiap kejayaan, one for the fans. Premier League, eksklusif di Astro.
Pentas kini semakin hangat.
Saya terpesona dengan persembahan awak.
12 otai semakin berkilau.
Confident level awak sangat tinggi.
Yang bergerak.
Kecil-kecil suara power tu.
Emas berkilau all the way.
Kilauan Emas 2025 di Astro Prima dan Astro Go.
Welcome back. US President Donald Trump says American troops will not be deployed on the ground in Ukraine as part of the peace deal. However, he suggests the US could provide air support to help guarantee Ukraine's security. His comments came a day after he hosted Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and top European leaders at the White House in a bid to end the 3.5-year war. Trump has floated the idea that Russian President Vladimir Putin might accept Western forces in Ukraine to uphold the deal, an idea Moscow has repeatedly rejected. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt later reaffirmed that U.S. boots on the ground were not part of the plan. But she said Washington would help coordinate security guarantees with European allies. Separately, Reuters reported that U.S. and European military officials have begun planning for potential post-conflict security arrangements, with the Pentagon said to be exploring options beyond the supply of weapons. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky risks losing his position if he accepts Russian concessions, according to an analyst. Dr. Julia Roknefat from Taylor's University says strong opposition inside Ukraine rules out any territorial compromise. She adds that such a move would undermine Zelensky's authority and threaten his leadership.
Unfortunately, what we are going to see, it's probably that President Zelensky will have to accept what the U.S., majorly the U.S. and then the European camp are going to tell him to do. I don't know how it's going to play out for Zelensky himself at home, because, of course, there's a strong opposition to any land swap or conceding to any conditions that Russia is trying to impose, because in Ukraine it is said that Zelensky is not authorized to do any of that. It will definitely cost him not just political credit, but overall position that he currently has. Simply put, he will be deposed as a result of conceding to Russia's position.
On August 11th, US President Donald Trump said both Ukraine and Russia would have to cede land to each other to end the war. His proposal was swiftly rejected by Zelensky, who insisted Ukraine's borders were defined in the country's constitution. Roknefat added that Russia does not intend to reach an agreement with Ukraine directly, but with Western powers instead.
We have moved now to a situation where talks and diplomacy were refused, especially in late 2021, when offers of a security treaty between Russia and the West was rejected. And that's what Russia exactly is seeking, a deal not with Ukraine per se, but with the West as a whole.
She also warned Ukraine's resources were dwindling, with shortages of manpower and munitions highlighted earlier this year. With the conflict dragging on, she says Kiev's options are narrowing as its ability to fight weakens.
In other news, Asian markets mostly fell today, following a sharp sell-off in US tech stocks on Tuesday. Investors are keeping a close eye on inflation, as the strong US Producer Price Index report has raised concerns that the Fed may keep interest rates higher for longer. The drops also follow a meeting in Washington between US and European military leaders to discuss a potential Ukraine peace deal. Tokyo's Nikkei fell sharply, while shares in Hong Kong, Seoul, Taipei and Bangkok also lost ground. On Wall Street, tech giants like Nvidia, Palantir and Oracle were hit hard as worries grow over a prolonged tech rally and ongoing global uncertainties, including tariffs on major trading partners. US President Donald Trump is accusing Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell of crippling the housing market, and he's stepping up calls for a sharp interest rate cut. Trump says many Americans are struggling to get mortgages under current conditions.
He also argues there's little inflation pressure, pointing to economic indicators that, in his view, justify a big rate reduction. Inflation remains below the peak seen during the pandemic, but recent data present a mixed picture, with levels still above the Fed's 2% target. The Federal Reserve will meet next on September 16th and 17th. Markets expect a modest 0.25 percentage point cut, with the possibility of another later this year, far less than the multi-point reductions Trump is demanding.
Billionaire Elon Musk is stepping back from plans to launch a new political party, citing a desire to maintain ties with US Vice President J.D. Vance. According to the Wall Street Journal, Musk acknowledges that forming a new party could strain that relationship.
Just last month, Musk unveiled the America Party after clashing with President Donald Trump. Today, Musk, the world's richest man, said he may instead use his wealth to support Vance in 2028. This move would not be his first major political investment. In 2024, Musk spent nearly $300 million backing Trump and other Republicans, gaining significant political influence in the process. He has also told allies he wants to focus on his companies as Tesla faces growing challenges. Shares of the company have fallen more than 18% this year, with the company reporting its worst sales decline in over a decade.
The White House has launched an official TikTok account less than a month before a deadline requiring its parent company, ByteDance, to sell the app or face a federal ban. Its first post on Tuesday, a 27-second video with a voiceover from President Donald Trump, has garnered over 100,000 followers within 14 hours.
TikTok has about 170 million users in the US. Trump has allowed the Chinese-owned platform to continue operating, despite lawmakers warning it poses a national security risk. Last year, the House of Representatives voted 352 to 65 in favor of the sell or ban bill, with strong bipartisan support. The ban was originally set to take effect in January, but since taking office that same month, Trump has repeatedly extended the deadline. The current extension is due to expire on September 17th.
Israel is demanding the release of all 50 hostages still held in Gaza, raising doubts it will accept a new 60-day ceasefire proposal. The deal, brokered by Egypt and Qatar in Cairo, calls for Hamas to swap Israeli hostages for Palestinian prisoners while talks on a permanent truce continue. Israel has not rejected the offer outright, but government spokesman David Menzer told the BBC it is not interested in partial deals. On Monday night, Hamas said it had approved the Cairo proposal. It involved freeing 200 Palestinian convicts, including women and minors, in exchange for 10 living Israeli hostages and 18 bodies. With the truce still uncertain, Israel is forging ahead with plans to seize Gaza City. The military plans to call up 50,000 reservists for the campaign, as thousands of civilians flee Gaza City, fearing an imminent assault. Meanwhile, India and China are moving to ease tensions with plans to resume direct flights and expand trade. The announcements came during Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi's visit to New Delhi for the 24th round of border talks.
Both sides agreed to reopen border trade routes, simplify visa processes, and set up a new working group to push forward negotiations. That includes discussions on troop reductions along the disputed Himalayan frontier, where deadly clashes broke out in 2020. Relations between the two neighbours have been tense since then, but this week's move suggests an easing of tensions. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said stable, constructive and predictable relations between India and China would strengthen both regional and global peace.
North Korea's sister of leader Kim Yo-jong criticizes South Korea's administration, saying President Lee Jae-myung shows a dual personality by promoting peace while at the same time conducting joint military drills with the US. She claims that Seoul's real motive is to shift responsibility for the failure of inter-Korean relations onto North Korea.
This week, South Korea and the US launched military exercises that included upgraded responses to North Korean nuclear threats. Seoul and Washington, however, insisted the drills were defensive, aimed at deterring aggression and maintaining regional stability. Kim added that Lee would not change the course of inter-Korean confrontation or achieve genuine reconciliation. In response, South Korea's presidential office said the administration would open a new era for joint growth with North Korea, and its recent measures were meant for the stability and prosperity of both the North and the South.
That report wraps up AWANI International for tonight. Stay tuned for our reports on the rivalries, strategies and the shifts behind the power affairs driving the new global order. Visit international.astroawani.com for more and be sure to follow our social media accounts. I'm Faye Kwan, thank you for watching and good night.